Fed up sewing in a tiny space? I spent 30 years perfecting how to sew in small places, and I've discovered one magic ingredient. Your sewing space must work for you. I'm Robin Bird. As an international teacher, I constantly lived in small spaces. I've watched countless videos on sewing organization, and everyone assumes we all live in a big house with endless funds. The best system is one that's designed by you to fit your unique environment. I found 5 major challenges small space sewists face when setting up their sewing organization and how to tackle them. 1. Balancing creativity with practicality. 2. Being practical about what you add. 3. Moving interrupts your creative flow. 4. Traditional solutions don't work for small spaces. 5. Noise and disruption in shared spaces. By the end of this video, you'll know how to create a system that fits your space, so you won't need to keep reconfiguring it every time life shifts. Along the way, you'll find practical solutions for small spaces and creative ways to manage your sewing materials, whether it's tools, storage, or portable systems. I'll show you how to do it on a tight budget. Plus, you'll discover my portable project system. You'll always know what projects you're working on and where everything is, no matter where you live. Challenge number 1, balancing creativity with practicality. When you move to a new place, does the thought of squeezing in a sewing space overwhelm you? Living with others can mean juggling shared spaces, leaving you with just a small corner. Creating a functional and inspiring sewing nook requires balancing creativity with practicality. And planning doesn't have to be overwhelming. Sketch it out by hand or use an online tool to visualize your space before you move in. Even small changes in layout can make a huge difference. For inspiration, create a mood board or jot down your priorities to keep your space organized and stress-free. If you're a list maker, write down your sewing needs and prioritize what's most important. A little thought up front can save a lot of stress later. The next challenge is being practical about what you add, particularly when it comes to organizing your sewing supplies in a small space. It's tempting to buy things that look good, but don't always work in a small space. Books, blogs, and videos about sewing organization often highlight colorful, idealized spaces filled with trendy furniture and gadgets. While those dreamy sewing rooms look amazing, they're not always realistic for most of us, especially when we're working with limited space and budgets. If you're anything like me, you've faced the challenge of organizing sewing materials in a small space. Deciding what to keep, where to store it, and how everything functional can feel overwhelming. You know how it is. You're at the store searching for ways to organize your sewing space, and you come across those dreamy cube storage units or beautiful $500 specialized sewing tables. Maybe you've even grabbed a flat pack from IKEA thinking it would solve all your problems. Once it's home and assembled, it doesn't fit, it's too bulky, or it isn't practical for a small space. Instead of helping, it adds to the clutter and frustration, and you'll end up feeling like all that money was wasted. This reminds me of Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility. Marianne gets swept up in romantic ideals, while Eleanor stays grounded and practical. Honestly, we sewists can be a bit like Marianne at times, drawn to shiny gadgets and dreamy setups that stores and magazines show us. But in a small space, especially a temporary one, it's smart to channel a little Eleanor and focus on what will actually work for you day to day. When organizing a small sewing space, start with what you have. Repurpose items like old drawers or unused shelves. Declutter your supplies to make room for what you really need. I'm living in a super small space, so let me show you how I've made it work. My sewing nook shares space with my husband's work area. It also doubles as my office and YouTube filming spot. I use fold-up tables for layouts and cutting, and my sewing machine lives in a portable luggage bag on the table. My fabric is tucked away in boxes, but I've set up a great system for that, which I'll show you in a minute. I repurposed a small cube shelf to store sewing books, notions, and projects. Yes, even sacrificed the kitchen table to make it work. You'll also see my mannequin, a fabric sign for inspiration, and some fabric charts I created. These are linked below if you'd like a copy. Last year, I filmed a video showing how I set up in a different small space with even more room and some other great ideas. So check the playlist link below for that. You can use a digital folder system by organizing your sewing patterns, tutorials, and inspiration images in a cloud storage service like Google Drive or Dropbox. You can keep everything in one place and access it anytime. No more searching for physical files. Things like fabric, thread, and notion. This could really help you if you stay organized and avoid overbuying or losing track of what you already have. Before buying something new, test it out. Tape the dimensions of a piece of furniture on the floor to see if it fits. Look for multifunctional items like a rolling cart that can double as a storage and a mobile workspace. And don't forget the power of do-it-yourself and secondhand solutions. A wooden crate can become a fabric storage, or a thrifted desk might be perfect for your sewing machine. Finally, ask yourself, will this truly solve a problem? Will it fit and be used often? Being practical about what you add can make all the difference in a small space. I've shared some of my favorite ideas for organizing a sewing space, but I know you've probably come up with some creative solutions on your own. So share your ideas in the comments below. Challenge number 3 is moving, a process that can disrupt your creative flow and demands a lot of adaptability, especially for sewists. During my 10 years as an international teacher, I moved constantly, sometimes within cities, other times across countries. Moving disrupts everything, so I learned to prioritize only what was truly essential. During an interstate move from mainland Australia to Tasmania, I kept only what I truly needed. My advice? Focus on transportable solutions within your budget. For example, charity shops can be great for shelving units that are easy to donate later on. Consider how you'll pack and locate things after you've moved. I flattened fabric boxes for reuse, labeled everything clearly, and kept a list to track my items. And sewing fabric also works great as wrapping material for breakables. So let's explore other ways to stay organized and adaptable during a move. When planning your move, focus on essentials and ease of packing. Sketch your sewing nook on graph paper or snap photos of the new space to visualize how everything will fit. Create an essential sewing kit with only the basics so you can still sew while settling in. Swap bulky sewing boxes for small plastic stationery containers. They're lightweight, durable, and ready to store. Even pencil cases can work for compact storage and transport. For fabric storage, try using large zipped moving bags, the kind designed for clothing. They're spacious, durable, and perfect for storing fabric or ongoing projects until you're ready to unpack. Traditional solutions just don't work for small spaces. Lack of space can lead to clutter, especially if you're living in a small space or moving a lot. Many of us are adjusting to smaller living, so why not try digital tools instead of traditional storage that doesn't fit? I'm not suggesting complicated systems. You don't need that. But what if you could save space and make your sewing area more enjoyable? Let me show you how I track my sewing projects digitally so I always know where they are when it's time to store them. Last year, I did a video showing how to use 2 free programs to create a digital system that works for me. They're easy to use and help me stay organized without taking up any physical space. The first one is a spreadsheet. I use Microsoft Excel, but any program works. I track my sewing projects, ideas, and supplies. Feel free to customize it for your needs, whether it's patterns or books. The second is Asana. It's free for basic use, and I rely on it to organize project ideas and archive what I've already sewn, complete with photos and links to inspiration. It's a great tool for keeping everything in one place. And if you're curious, I'll go into more detail in the video link below. I also want to mention some digital ideas that could be really helpful. One idea is digitizing your patterns, though it's a bit more work. Programs like Adobe Illustrator can help you do it. I haven't done it yet, but it's something to consider for saving space. We don't have big display spaces or dedicated rooms. Instead, we cram fabrics, patterns, and books into boxes and lose track of projects. Why not use digital tools to organize everything without taking up space? And the best part? Both tools I use are right at your fingertips. One you've used 100 times, the other is free and super easy. Sewing in a small space means thinking outside the box. The big question is, what solutions will work for you? In a small space, you need to make the most of what you have. That means being creative and finding ways to use your space smartly. Sometimes you won't be able to buy everything you need to set up an organized sewing space. Why? If you live in a remote area, like I do in Tasmania, charity shops or op shops are amazing. They're bigger than you might think, and you can often find what you need at low prices. If you need to clear out space, you can donate or sell things on Facebook Marketplace. The key is to be creative and find solutions that work for you. Here are some ideas I've used. The best way to start improving your sewing organization is to make small changes that feel right for you. If you're feeling stuck or think you don't have the tools or resources, let me reassure you, you absolutely can do this. To help you get started, I created some free templates designed plan to guide you through my strategies. These include mapping out a week's worth of projects with inspiration images, fabric swatches, and notes. Step-by-step instructions for creating a workflow using Excel and Asana. It's free, so check it out by clicking the link below. Oh, and stay till the end because I'll show you how to use my step-by-step method with Excel and Asana to create an amazing workflow. And speaking of challenges, it has been an amazingly challenging week for me. So check the link below and you will find something there that is definitely going to help your sewing. If you don't see the project management link, no worries. It will be done in just a couple of days and just check back and you'll be able to get it. Managing noise and disruptions in shared spaces could be a real challenge. It often requires finding ways to stay focused and maintain concentration even when distractions are all around you. Small spaces in particular come with their own set of problems. This is often due to where they're located and what's nearby. For example, if your small space is a college dorm, you're likely living right next to many others, and the building itself can be noisy too. The same is true for those living in small apartment buildings. And maybe you're still living at home, occupying a room in your parents' house, or on the flip side, perhaps you're taking care of an aging parent, and you're either living in their home or they're living in yours. If you share your space with a partner, a roommate, or children, you know that compromise is key when it comes to shared living. Living with others means learning to live with their noises too. And if you're a single person or a couple living abroad, you're probably familiar with noisy living environments where the sounds can sometimes be pretty strange. But here's the thing, you can have a sewing space even in these noisy and shared spaces. And yes, you can set up a peaceful environment for sewing even if it's not perfect. The key is adapting and finding solutions that work with your space and noise challenges. So what can you do? Well, let's explore some options. Over the years, I've picked up a few strategies for dealing with noise. Noise cancelling headphones are one of my favorite solutions. They are affordable now and work wonders. Also, setting friendly boundaries with family or roommates can make a big difference. If you enjoy hand sewing, why not take it outside for some peace and fresh air? Think about the quietest times of day to sew, like early mornings or evenings. You can also muffle noise in your space with rugs, curtains, or fabric-covered boards. And finally, don't forget to take breaks. Stepping outside for a quick walk can help you reset. As you plan your new solutions, remember to tailor them to what works best for you. Get creative and have fun with it. Your glass isn't half empty, it's half full. I've linked those free templates below to help you get started, so check those out in the link below. But let me take a moment to tell you how I created a very versatile system that's been a game changer for me. I break it into simple parts, and it's a strategy I've relied on to tackle clutter and maximize small spaces, which is what I show you in this video.